Welcome to the Sneaking Into the Movies podcast. I'm Max Nathan.
And I'm Norma Davis. And this week, we got another special episode. We are joined once again by friend of the show, Jatavian, and he's going to help us get out of the back rooms.
Sneak in, and let's go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
You know, the movies are just back. I mean, movies are doing fantastic. AMC said they had their best May since 2019. Grosses are up 11% from last year.
What came out in May of 2019, Max?
You want to tell me? I don't remember. I'm not gonna lie to you.
The biggest movie ever, Avengers Endgame, for context here of how back you could say we are.
Bro.
Yeah,
That's huge.
yeah. Other big movies came out in May too, but I mean that's like one of the biggest movies ever. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
I mean, people always bring up 2019 as the marker for. I mean, that was just the year before COVID, so it was also a very big year for the box office and just culture in general. But it's cool to see that we're kind of getting back some of our mojo there, post COVID. The Backrooms. The Backrooms is doing very, very well at the box office. 118 million worldwide for Backrooms this weekend.
Oh, bang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that is backed by 86% of the opening weekend audience being under 35. And of that audience, an astonishing 44% of the audience is under 21. Young people are in the movie theater right now. This is just amazing. It's just incredible. And on top of everything, this movie's a pretty great movie, I think. We'll talk about, our feelings on the film here in a minute, but I'll just start out. I really like this movie, guys. It's really, really off-kilter and unusual and not like anything you really see in the movie theater or anything I've seen in the movie theater. And I think it's really, really, just really, really good and interesting. It plays on the horror genre in a way that I haven't really seen before, at least in this way. And I think that it is providing you, in a way, like it's like when you go to a museum and you look at an art piece and you're like, what does this mean? Like you're looking at it, and kind of like it could be like Rabbit in a Snowstorm from Daredevil, for example. And it's just a white painting, and you're like looking at some of the textural details and things like that, and you're like, what? How does this make me feel? This is the ultimate. How does this movie make me feel? Movie, I think. So how did this movie make you guys feel?
Guess I'll go first. I just want to say, I thought this movie was fucking phenomenal. I was excited for it from that first trailer. This movie blew my expectations out of the water in just about every way. There's no doubt for me this will be one of my favorite movies of this entire year when everything's said and done. I'll get more into it, but yeah, just the vibe, the performances were great. I thought this had a very, very, very strong narrative, which was almost more horrifying than anything put on screen. I don't know how you guys felt. What do you think, Jay?
I think it is a good movie. I enjoyed it. I do think that there are issues with it. Like with what Norm said about the narrative, I think that's something that we disagree on. And I think the character work is a little shaky here. But one of my biggest problems with this movie is that I feel like the way that we narrow in on what Backrooms is, to me, takes away from what I think is the most interesting thing about this concept, which is like the existential connection to it. When it becomes personal with these two characters, Mary and Clark, I felt like it took away from the I can't even wrap my head around this horror and more made it like a depression, loneliness thing, which I actually did
Okay.
like. I liked the way that the movie talked about loneliness and how that connected to Backrooms and how that was how like being remembered even poorly was still like important, still something to hold on to compared to the real world. I thought
Hmm.
that was cool.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, those are some of my quick thoughts about it.
Yeah. Like you said about the characters in the movie. I think you bring up a good point that this is not the most you're not going to find the most fleshed out character's journey in this movie.
No,
Um, I I agree with you on that. Uh, that being said, Chiwetel Ejiofor is cooking in this movie. Like
no, he did really great. He did
I
great.
loved him in this
He
movie.
is so good in
He
this
did great.
movie.
Yeah.
Renata Reinsva great as well, but Chiwetel has a lot of the bulk of the kind of uh he has a more fun part. He gets to kind of go crazy. He gets to go
Yeah.
crazy in the back rooms. It's kind of like the most fun part. If you were reading the script, he has the most fun part in the movie.
For sure.
And a lot of that kind of felt very theatrical. It almost felt like a play. Those scenes where him and Renata Reinsva were sitting across the table from each other, and he is kind of talking about his inner struggle as it relates to the situation that they currently find themselves in within the back rooms. I thought that scene and everything that happens after that point was just amazing. Like probably the best, like I don't know if it was like 20 minutes, best 20 minutes of a movie um I've seen, maybe not all year, but it's one of the best 20 minutes I've seen in a movie all year. Really 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 liked all that stuff.
It's a
Yeah.
very slow like found footage I think is inherently slow. I think it kind of just you have to immerse within the steps being taken and the looks and like where where am I hearing the sound from and all
For
that.
sure.
And I think that first scene when he walks through, it's very captivating. Um, it's almost beautiful.
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
say,
Are you
especially with yeah
are you
yeah.
just to clarify, are you referring to the first time he walks into the back rooms or the found footage or the first time when he kind of really dives deep in there with the kids?
I was talking about the first time that he just walks through the
Okay.
back rooms just by himself.
Okay.
But the found footage in the beginning, I was like smiling from like ear to ear. I thought
Me too.
it was really cool to like just I don't know to be watching a found footage movie in like in theaters is really fun. Like
Yeah.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
about that. But then also it being back rooms and like
Hmm.
having this, even though I'm not connected to the YouTube space yet, I do think that it's cool to hear about this and then to finally be seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like speaking to some of the glee that I think we both experienced when watching that first kind of found footage opening sequence,
Hmm.
um, it felt like it almost felt like everybody kind of talks about how the new era of filmmakers is here. Like YouTube is sort of driving uh, the basically creating new filmmakers before our eyes,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that moment of watching this found footage horror sequence within the back rooms that feels like something from the YouTube series in a movie
Hmm.
theater, it really felt like a we're here moment
Yeah.
with this
Yeah.
whole era of movies as we know it. It was
Yeah,
just
that must have been crazy. Like fans of the YouTube channel, like watching that.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
must have been
I can't
crazy.
imagine.
yeah,
That must have
especially
felt like in game, bro. That must have felt like in game. You've been watching this since 2019. This kid, and now he's making like a full feature.
yeah,
You're watching it in theaters. That's crazy.
it's nuts.
It's it's we just got a shout out for start. This was co-produced by a lot of people, but James Wan and
Yeah.
Sean Levy, those are names we're all familiar with here.
Shout out.
Like way to have your finger on the pulse. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
this is technically IP. Kane Parsons has been calling it IP, even though he didn't come up with it or whatever. But
I
yeah, like
have
it's time for this stuff. There's a He-Man movie that comes out this weekend that probably has 20 times the budget of this. That's gonna, and you could argue maybe more people know who He-Man is, but it's gonna make maybe half of what this movie makes.
Can we make that? I mean, like so much of the discussion around this movie before seeing it, at least in my experience, was like, or so much of my experience before seeing the movie was like people know about this. This is not some niche, weird like internet thing. This is
I
like
was the
No.
oldest person in my theater, dude. I went to a sold out showing. This is super popular with
Yeah.
young people. I mean, and we were. I know y'all didn't watch the YouTube, but y'all like had heard of the Backrooms or seen it, right?
Yes.
I had
It
I,
is-
I think I don't I wasn't like day one or anything, but I was aware of it.
Yeah, it's such a huge part of internet culture, which is just kind of like our culture now. You know what I mean? As younger people, in a lot of ways.
For sure.
Yeah, it's something everyone's heard about, but not everyone really knows about. And I just think the idea of like liminal spaces is such a scary thing. And I feel like everyone's had some kind of dream when they're in an endless hallway, or especially as a kid, but even like now, you go down, you're in an office building, or you're at a movie theater. There's a movie theater in San Antonio called The Quarry that like the hallways used to freak me out, like just the way they were lit. And it reminds me of like the back rooms and liminal spaces.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's this kind of fear or idea that we all have,
Yeah.
that you never really think about in the same way you'd be scared of the dark or
Freddy
sharks or whatever.
Krueger or
Yeah,
whatever.
Freddy Krueger.
It plays on something that's very universal. Like it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's something it's so much like the experience of watching this movie is so much about how you feel when you look at the backrooms themselves. You look at this piss color, office building type place
Yeah.
that has carpet everywhere and, these overhead, powerful lights beaming down upon you. It's just a kind of, it's just unsettling to look at.
All the
The-
rooms, even like the pirate room, kind of reminded me of like a kid's dentist office, and like
Sure.
what kid likes going to the dentist.
I think the two things that this movie plays with a lot is like the concept of uncanny valley and the void, or like just voids in general. And I think those two things connect to what you said, Max. Like, how does this make you feel when you look at something that's uncanny valley? People normally have just a gut feeling, a gut like, get this away from me.
Yeah.
And I think with voids too, like the idea of being in a place that seems familiar, being in an office space, being in a dental office, but it's empty or it's a little bit off or it's a little,
Yeah.
off kilter. I think that is those all create gut instincts, gut responses,
For sure.
which is an interesting thing to try to connect to in horror. I think it's normal, like the idea of like murder, a serial killer, like that like creates that gut instinct too, but there's something different when you don't fully understand why you're scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Sorry.
Yo,
Who
yeah,
was I
go
saying?
for it. Go for it.
Hey, stop me if I sound crazy, but one thing I've been thinking about, I haven't seen a lot of people kind of talk about
Sure.
with the idea of isolation. I don't know if y'all remember, but about 6 years ago now, we all had to kind of just stay home
Oh yeah,
at a very, very, very developmental time in our life. And I think that plays into a lot of this fear more than any of us really think. I mean, I think we still don't know like the long-term ramifications of what we had to, whatever. I'm not trying
we're
to be
all a
cranky.
little crazier. We're all a little
Yeah,
crazier.
I think, and I mean that sucked. This was like the most developmental time of our lives, and we had to kind of just sit in rooms by ourselves, with ourselves. I think that really taps in, and I think that's why it hits so much harder for young people. Because I think
For
like
sure.
the pandemic hit so much harder for young people than adults. At least in like a mental way. Obviously, can't imagine
Yeah.
trying to raise a bunch
Because
of
again, like it's developmental, and
Yeah.
I think that it'll be interesting to see how younger people talk about this movie, how they talk about like how this movie talks about the again. I really love the conversation this movie creates with loneliness and depression and wanting to be remembered even if it's like not perfectly. Like
Yeah.
that sort of conversation about memory and the value of being remembered and forgotten is
Yeah.
fascinating and something a lot more personal than I expected.
Yeah. I I really like that stuff as well. I think like you know, we're talking so much about how this is a very unique movie, something that we don't really see very much. And
Yeah,
there's so many different things about it that differentiate it from other modern horror movies, and yet it's a haunted house movie. Like
it
it kind
is.
of you
Yeah,
know at its core it is a movie in which people are stuck in a space where you know there's a bunch of creepy stuff and some stuff's gonna happen and you know it's not gonna be not gonna be very fun you know for the
I
characters
think,
involved.
and I know I'm probably the minority here. I think the narrative and the ideas that this movie are playing with is scarier than the idea of the Backrooms.
Elaborate.
please.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I've been seeing a ton of people not loving like the plot narrative stuff,
Sure.
and specifically that second half. Yeah, no. Um, I loved it. I loved like when it clicked for me what the Backrooms was. It was so much scarier. Like I just love this idea of you know, all these rooms are real things, and Clark is like totally lost his mind, just like totally stuck in his head. Um, but like that is the most like real thing to him. That is like the true horror. So he's stuck in this place where he doesn't have to kind of worry about that stuff, but like he still does. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm not getting my point across
No, I'm
I
as well.
can I be honest? And this is something
For sure.
I've come across with the backrooms conversation.
mhm.
I think when people try to explain it, um, they realize that it's a lot simpler than they
Yeah.
think. Like, and I think that's to me, even what you said about like it's kind of a haunted house movie. The closer this movie gets to being something traditional, the worse it got for me. The more that I started to see the horror tropes and the cliches just kind of like sprinkled throughout, it made the uniqueness. It dimmed a light on that aspect of the film, like the fascination of what this place is and how much bigger this thing could be. Like to me, Backrooms has always felt like a Lovecraftian sort of horror. And so even though I'm talking about how Backrooms now connects to depression and mental health and isolation and having the main two characters, a therapist and a patient, I think that when you do that, it makes Backrooms a lot less scarier, which to me I think is to the film's detriment.
That
See,
is
I
interesting.
totally
Like,
disagree.
And yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
like that too, which is interesting.
Um, yeah, like his worst horror is telling himself the truth, and like he's kind of doing
Yes,
that in the
yeah.
back rooms. And that really kind of hit for me. Like, what is really real? Like, is the back rooms real? Like, am I real? Are the thoughts and the feelings I have? You know, we can't manifest the same way we can a stop sign or a chair or a room or whatever. But
there, there's also
yeah,
the very literal interpretation of, you know, he's putting up walls for himself.
yeah,
He's emotionally unavailable for his wife. You know, he's clearly an asshole. Like you can tell from that first interaction with the therapist.
yeah,
I just wish they went all the way. Like
Okay.
that's my thing with his character. I liked his character as far as like the performance was great. But I think that like especially if we want to talk about that scene again with all three of them, his assistant manager, her boyfriend, and that whole like found footage thing was
Yes,
really well done. Really cool. Had some again, I think even those characters I felt like were a little cliche and like, I mean, what are you gonna do
definitely.
with them? But they just didn't hold their space to me. They felt very even the words they were saying just felt very like I've heard this before.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I wish that Clark would have like I wish we would have seen him let them die or kill them because I think seeing him descend and us understanding that and him only focusing on like I need my proof to this therapist who is acting like I'm crazy. I think that would have been a lot more interesting rather than this like tightrope he's on that
Hmm.
I just didn't I didn't really believe either way. Like I didn't believe that he was super crazy, and then I didn't believe when he had that conversation with the therapist, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I'll free you now." I didn't believe that either.
I gotta tell you, I didn't even really. I was second guessing whether that was even really him or or Renata Reinsva's
Yeah,
Backrooms recreation of him.
that makes sense. I mean, the only thing that would be debunking that is that like the red blood came out of his body when he got bit.
Yes, I think like
At least from what we understand of the rules.
yeah, it's kind of unclear. I think they pick and choose where they want to, adhere
That's
to the
true.
rules and not adhere to the rules. That's just kind of how this kind of concept is going to go. But we do
Yeah,
see,
you're right.
I think, like you said, Jay, like you do see, Kat, I believe is her name. Her head is in the fridge, so you
Yes.
get a little taste of what might have happened there, but
Yeah.
they don't go all the way with it. Um,
Yeah.
and
And
I think
I can see people liking that ambiguity. And I
yes,
think for me, I don't know. I wish that the movie just seems like it's just on this weird tightrope. And I'm
hmm
like, bro, just pick something. Pick what you want to do. Because even like the movie is like half Clark's movie, half Mary's movie. But doing that, I couldn't connect with either of them, especially Mary. And I feel like at some point we should talk about her.
let's talk about it right now. What do we think of Mary, guys?
Y'all said how Ejiofor did a really great job.
hmm
I agree. I think that I don't know how to say the actress's name. I'm
Renata
sorry.
Reinsva.
Renata Rhines, but I loved her in Sentiments of Value. I
Mm.
loved her in doing the caveats. I think that she was so dry in this movie to me. Which I think is the character. I think it's written that way. It's
Yes.
not her fault, but I do think that that whole thing with her backstory and the stuff with her mom, and then her having the rock in her pocket and then taking it out to hit Clark, or like the remake of Clark in the pirate suit. I thought all of that was really bad. It didn't. It just felt very tropey. It felt very cliche to me.
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
it does feel a little bit stock. I will agree with that. I do think that a lot of the flashback stuff they were doing with her, where you would spend some time with Clark in the back rooms. I believe the found footage sequence kind of caps off Clark's story to that point, and then we focus
Hmm.
on a lot of Mary's stuff, where we see some of her backstory with her mom, who's clearly insane or something's wrong mentally.
Yeah, that
Um,
actually was one of the biggest jumps for me.
The car
When
to
her
the
mom
window.
came out.
yeah,
I was like, oh shit.
yeah, it was nuts.
No, that one actually got me. Yeah.
It I did like a lot of what they were doing there. It wasn't really moving the narrative forward in ways that I could really, latch onto, but there was
Hmm.
just a lot of great filmmaking stuff going on that I was like,
Yes,
I'm just
yeah.
like I love the feeling that this is giving me. It's so palpable. Like when you kind of go deeper and deeper and deeper,
Yeah.
and you
Oh
see
my
Yeah.
god, that was
them
unreal, dude.
transition from her house as it normally looks to remembering it slightly off and then remembering it slightly off again all the way down into the back rooms. I
The
thought that stuff was really
cinematography was
great.
amazing. The
Yes,
cinematography was amazing.
that
Like the
is,
entire time, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Super,
yeah.
just like dreamlike. Like nothing felt too real, which I think
Nothing
was
felt
intentional.
real. Yeah.
Yes.
You know what a wise man David Lynch once said? Reality is a dream.
Mm.
Max would know if he watched a goddamn David Lynch movie.
That's true.
But,
He's gonna come up later in the podcast. We'll talk
Please
about him
have
a
me
little
on
bit.
when y'all do Mulholland Drive. I've
We
never
will.
seen that movie.
We
dude,
will
I
do
got
that
the
movie.
4K. I love that movie.
I'd love to watch that.
But yeah, it gave it this very like dreamlike kind of feel, which yeah, like reality's kind of what we make it. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
obviously there's like finite real things, but all three of us we could be in the same room looking at the same thing. We're gonna see it differently. We kind of create our own subconscious of what we think reality is.
For sure.
I
And I
think
think the
in.
movie did a
Oh, I'm
really good
sorry.
job kind of expressing that.
I think we were actually talking earlier about like movies that we wish that we enjoyed more. And
Hmm.
I think with the context of like around this movie, the conversations I'm having, because I haven't had a conversation about Backrooms with anybody until you guys,
Hmm.
it's really cool to hear how people connect to this. And to me, I wish that I could have immersed myself in more. And the biggest problem for me is the characters. And I think also the dynamic of the characters, because I think that this sort of story, especially about like being remembered and how memory can play with you, and also what Norm just said about like you know, trying to be yourself, but also like understanding that like I don't know, like life is life, and Clark is in a very low point in his life. Well, Mary is as well, but them being a therapist patient, I think creates this barrier that I think takes away from what could be really interesting. Like if the Backrooms was metaphorical for their dynamic in some way too,
Yes,
I think that would have been really cool.
I think yeah. If you're gonna nitpick as well, um, she's not going to the store looking for him
That
and then
didn't make
into the back
sense.
rooms and the yeah
That
it
didn't
didn't
make sense
yeah
at all. And I literally was thinking like I think there was a scene in the trailer where he's showing her the tapes or she's watching the tapes. And I was like, why? I feel like that one scene, even in this story, where like I'm not really a big fan of them being therapist patient,
sure.
him like doing whatever he can to save himself to get the tapes back to show her, I think is enough for us to understand why she would go back or
Hmm.
go to the store. But to not have anything at all and just him being like, I'm never coming back. I opened a window. Like I don't know
What do
if
you?
that really
I'm
I
losing
don't
y'all here because she's his therapist. She's worried about his well being.
But a therapist wouldn't like like that part of the relate like she even he asks her in the beginning like have you ever I forgot the term that he
The
used.
5-1, the yeah.
Yeah, like it, basically have you ever had to you know rat
But
out
I feel like
your
as
patient or whatever it like you like I
I guess,
think
but if you
I
know where this guy works, you go check on him, see if he's still there.
but they're
You
not
you're
go to
really
the store.
you're absolutely right on the sense of like he literally has commercials on TV.
Yeah,
My problem is that I think the movie is trying to imply that there is something personal happening here. There's something for Mary that it's bigger than just. And I do get what you're saying. Like she just wants him to be safe, but there feels like there's a deeper pull here that I think they're trying to imply. And I think using the therapist speech and the barriers between them, I think takes like imagine if he was in this low point and they're on some like sort of like relationship tip or like they're dating or they're like friends or colleagues. Maybe they're both therapists. And we're realizing over time how low he really is, like with his marriage and all that, and him trying to replace her with or replace his wife with her. Like these things, I think would have gone a lot deeper if the connection was more personal rather than therapist patient. Like
I
even her
guess.
going there.
I
I
think
could
that
see I could see that working. I don't know that this filmmaker and this movie is equipped
I don't
to
even think
yeah.
I
take
don't
it
think he's
on
trying to do
like
that. I don't
yeah
think
to
he's trying to
do
do that. You
yeah
know? Yeah. And
I,
I feel like sometimes maybe I'm like asking for too much of this film, but I do think like having characters that I can connect to is not a crazy thing to ask. But I do feel like I'm not in the majority when I say that. At least I feel.
yeah
yeah.
Norman, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I just think that that barrier of like it being a therapist rather than a parent, a spouse, a friend, or whatnot. I really like it because yeah, it's I don't know, her going to check on him never felt like personal to me, like from what she's been building, but it just felt like her kind of doing the job. But I think the line of like I can't help you, like you have to help you. I feel like that works so much better coming from a therapist than a I don't know
No,
girlfriend, family member kind of.
you're absolutely right. I don't feel like that line hits harder in any other context than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that that scene was well done. I think again for me, it's like it's weird that I see so much of what this movie is trying to do, and yet I feel like I just couldn't fully attach to what it was trying to do, especially when it came to Mary. And it's interesting too because I think the actress she aesthetically really works in these scenes, like when she's running away from the giant Clark or whatever,
Yeah.
and just like the blood on her and all that. Even the scene with her and the doctor at the end, I thought that was all really awesome. But yeah, there's something about the character I couldn't fully attach to, and maybe that's purposeful. Like I can see a purpose in the way they wrote her in that way.
I do want to bring up this is kind of off topic. Jay, have you seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yes, yeah, I have, yeah,
That dinner scene was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Did y'all kind of
yeah, no,
down to the
yeah,
wig and everything? I don't know. That's what I was thinking of
no,
doing that,
you're
but
absolutely
that
right.
was just
I
more
Yeah,
of
didn't
like
think of
a
it. Yeah,
that's
that's a
awesome.
that's a
yeah,
good
you just
catch.
see the influences there. Yeah,
That's awesome
yeah.
Let's go to a break here and talk more about the movie.
for sure. I feel like I've been sounding like a hater in this episode, so I want to clarify what I mean. I feel like this movie is really, really good, and everything that it's hyper focusing on to get right, it does that well. The cinematography, the eeriness, the strangeness, and just the overall what is happening vibe. The problem for me is that the horror is personalized. It's personalized with these two characters, Mary and Clark, and because I don't fully connect with them or fully attach to their obstacles and their journey, it it lessens the horror. It almost handicaps the horror in being something bigger and more grandiose and Lovecraftian, which I think I would have preferred.
Yeah, and I think that has to like that is kind of the crux of this film. I think like because at the end of the day, this is an adaptation of something that already exists. Like this is a YouTube series.
Hmm.
Like that's what this is, and as a YouTube series, you can't just take Backrooms, the YouTube videos, and put it in theaters. And I mean, you could do that. I mean, it's a
They
good
might do that.
it's a good YouTube video, but it's not really a movie. It's not really a film
Yeah,
with a beginning, middle, and characters.
right.
It's a YouTube short, and it's fantastic. But that's not what this is. This is a an adaptation of that YouTube video, and there's gonna be that push and pull of you know uh, I personally that was the thing that I was most interested in going into the movie is like what are they really gonna do to make this a movie, like what like are there is there going to be some kind of explanation behind the Backrooms, for example, or an expansion of kind of what's really going on here? Are they going to reveal anything? What are the characters even going to be? Like, is this going to be, something with a traditional story structure and character arcs and that kind of thing? And it was more. I think it was more of a traditional movie than I had expected going in.
I agree.
I thought they were going to go really really experimental with it and kind of in the spirit of the YouTube video. I think it does. Yeah, before I, like I think it is like I wouldn't call it a perfect movie. And I haven't really kind of elaborated on like how I feel about the movie. I think like this is I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I think it's a perfect Backrooms movie.
I
Like it
do want to say, by the way, sorry. Kane Parsons essentially said this is like an episode of the YouTube show, just on a much bigger scale.
interesting.
Like he himself didn't look at it as an adaptation, but more of like, and from
A
what I understand from them,
continuation.
yes, like this is
Okay.
if you watched all the YouTube in the same way. This sounds ridiculous, but Mandalorian and Grogu is like it's like a big episode of that show
Sure.
in movies.
Makes sense.
But but I agree with what you're saying though. It feels like an adaptation. It doesn't really feel like that, especially because it just introduces it rather than like assuming that you are like familiar with the Backrooms, which I feel like the movie kind of does though.
I
Yeah.
think what you said, Max, is like that blew my mind actually. And again, I haven't had a conversation about Backroom, so this is just helping me. I didn't really think about like those are YouTube videos. This is a feature-length film. How do
Yeah.
you transfer that over and allow people to still be able to like find it accessible?
Yeah.
And I think with this movie, like how you said, I think it's just a lot more traditional than I expected at all. And
Hmm.
I think the issues I have with it still exist and are valid, same as the praises, but there is a reason for why it's like that. Like
Hmm.
one that is undeniable. So
Yeah.
that's
I think
that we never talk about that enough. Like media, like transfer. Like how do you transfer this from this to that?
Yeah, like
YouTube video to
adaptation. Yeah.
film. Like yeah, book to like especially not now with like YouTubers becoming feature length filmmakers. Like that's interesting to see.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think the best thing you can compare this to, which makes this look like Citizen Kane, is Five Nights at Freddy's.
So
Like
yes, okay, let's get into that.
And jumping. So that's like is technically or not. It is a video game, but
yeah.
most of the cultural relevance and the reason people went and saw their butts or oh my god, put their butts in seats. Editor's note: cut that.
Yeah.
The reason people went to go see Five Nights at Freddy's was because of the YouTube. I used to watch the YouTube. I played the games, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the lore is bigger than the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The lore is bigger than the games
The
because
game
for sure.
theory, Matt Pat, all that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
he pushed that shit far.
Yes.
yeah, which
Yeah,
like Scott
yeah.
Cawthon knows that too. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does a good job as an adaptation for me,
It even you know,
especially the found footage stuff.
yeah.
I don't
The
want to go
found
through
footage
this
stuff is
episode.
all great.
I don't want to
man.
go through this episode without talking about the Christmas tree room.
Yes.
The Christmas tree room to the camera being picked up was one of the like most just amazing movie sequences maybe I've ever
That yeah,
seen. Like that was crazy. Just
Yeah.
the rooms, the shower room with the face. Oh my, that was terrifying. I had a giant smile on my face, dude. It was like seeing, like cinema reinvented. Not to sound too whatever.
It was really nuts. I totally agree with you. I think we can all agree that actually no, I think there's two really 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 strong sequences in the movie. One of them being this found footage sequence, and I in my opinion, I loved, like I said, that basically the 20 minutes into the ending, that whole third act, I guess if you will. I really loved that part as well. But the Christmas tree stuff, it's just incredible. Like I wasn't even really like, I know it's a horror movie. There's gonna be some scary things in there. There's probably gonna be a humanoid in there at some point. I've
Yeah.
seen the Backrooms. I know what's
Yeah.
going on. I've seen horror movies. But when that lady comes out moving like that, like that was crazy.
yeah.
I love to use the term new images. And those, even though, it was technically on a camcorder based off a YouTube series, those were like new images to me.
Yeah.
That's why you see a movie, is to see something on the big screen you've never seen before.
Yeah. And you don't even like it. The thing with the Backrooms is like they'll show you something like that, like the lady kind of moving really weird, and it's so interesting. It's very frightening in the moment, but it doesn't even seem threatening necessarily, and that's what makes it really odd to me
It's like
as a concept.
the whole, I think it's all very scary.
Definitely.
Actually, quick little side tangent. I got home last night after the movie, and my friend and I were sitting in the car talking about the movie, and like in my cul-de-sac, and a balloon just floats along the ground. I was like, I'm sleeping in your car tonight, bro. Fuck that. A balloon that said happy birthday. I was looking, there's no parties going on or nothing, just a balloon
Yeah.
floating. Yeah, that was terrifying. But I guess my point was, like, it's scary, but it's cool and weird enough to where it's like exciting, like exhilarating.
It is.
Like you said, yeah, with the woman and the guy in the wheelchair with the lamp and everything.
He was my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was
like that he
great.
just whenever they're having the Texas Chainsaw Massacre scene, I'll call it now, I guess. He just kept moving every once in a while, and then when he turns
Yes.
off the lights and he turns on his lamp, love that.
I
Shout
would
out
say
that
that
video.
I would say that there are three set pieces that I enjoyed in this movie the most. The last scene when she's being chased by the I don't know what to call that
Captain
Clark.
Clark.
Captain Clark. That works.
Big Clark is what I've been calling him, but yeah.
I would Big Clark works too. I would put that at number three, because I really didn't like the Captain Clark design. I understand
Okay.
what they were going for, but I think for me, a moment, actually I'll go in my ranking and then I'll say something. But my second would be the found footage thing that we just talked about, the Christmas scene, and even when he's talking to Kate and she's like, "I can see you, but you can't see me," or whatever. Like I thought that was like all really trippy.
Yeah.
Um, but this might be a hot take, but I think for me actually my favorite scenes in the back rooms weren't the found footage ones. I really liked the scenes that were with the characters by
I love them too.
themselves.
Yeah,
Like that first scene where Clark is walking through and he's just like seeing this familiar, unfamiliar stuff. I thought was really cool. And like when he's being chased and you don't see what's chasing him and he's going through that, like when he climbs up that like little hill thing and like has to turn those three knobs. I was like, this is really
I
cool,
might
bro.
I might be talking crazy, but it's like when you fucking see Pandora for the first time in Avatar, like him
No,
walking into the
I can
back
see,
rooms and just
I can see that.
like
Yeah.
it was unbelievable.
New images, like Norman said, new
Yeah,
images.
and
dude, that's all I ask for with movies is new images.
you just it taps into something, that I feel like I really really had when I was a kid, and maybe y'all experienced some of this as well. Just the curiosity and drive to explore areas
What's
that
around the
maybe
corner?
maybe you're not supposed to be in.
Mhm.
And I could have watched like him walk, like him, the scene where he's just walking around the back rooms was just unbelievably like unnerving and amazing, and like I just loved it.
I could have watched that for a ridiculous amount of time. Him
Yeah,
just walking
Yeah,
around.
it was nuts. And I just really thought that was great. I want to talk about the ending scene. We've talked a lot
Okay.
about the movie at large, but I really want to make sure that we talk about this ending sequence because holy moly. So at the end of the movie, you have Captain Clark come into the picture, who is a giant, fucked up looking version of Chiwetel Ejiofor's character in the commercial.
Mhm.
very interesting. By the way, that it wasn't the clothes that Clark was wearing when he went into the back rooms. He was never in the back rooms in the pirate costume.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just found that really, I don't know,
It was something from his from
memory.
inside of him.
Which the back rooms is just copying.
Is that how he sees himself? Because the movie kind of plays with humiliation with that character, and like he feels like he's not only is he desperate, but he's like he feels pathetic for
For
where he
sure.
is in his life.
And the store is all he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems like that's why he lost his wife or girlfriend or whatever.
And
Yeah.
that's I think the strongest part of the movie aspect of this movie, for lack of a better term. Like him, like the idea that this is him, literally building up walls, and also as the movie goes on, as he kind of descends into his own mania, he is going deeper and deeper and deeper into that furniture store and into the back rooms. It's just a great visual metaphor, I think. I think it's handled really well. And yeah, it kind of culminates with this sequence where the Captain Clark, pirate guy is ultimately his demise. It eats him alive, if you will. Like that's it's kind
Literally,
of again kind of going with that story and that metaphor. But then you get this awesome chase sequence that feels very in line with the original Backrooms short, with this. I was surprised that they made this Cap and Clark thing the actual like big thing that is like the villain of the Backrooms. I guess like he's the creature in the Backrooms, the major creature character in the Backrooms.
I didn't really think. Did you? So do you think he's the?
I didn't.
He's not
I
the
didn't.
only
Yeah,
one though.
I didn't.
No,
take
no,
it
no,
that
no, no,
way.
no, no, no. I don't think
okay,
he's.
okay.
I don't think he's like the ruler of the back. Like he is just like
He's just
like
the big bad of this story right now.
exactly.
I
Whereas
imagine
in
there's
the
an infinite amount of him. Is kind of what I.
100%.
In the same way that there's an infinite amount of people.
I'm on the same page with you, 100%. I think it's probably whatever the person going in manifests is the actual thing. In the YouTube short, it's something way more abstract. It kind of looks like that guy from Smiling Friends
The
who's like,
tripod.
like
Yeah.
it kind of
See,
looks
that's-
like that. Like
That's the thing for me was like going to like the Clark design. I had a moment early on in the film, maybe like with the first found footage scene, where I was like, how scary could the thing chasing you really be here? And as soon as I saw the giant Clark, I was like,
you're like nah, like
and again, like in this conversation, like it all makes sense. I think there's so much of this movie that makes sense, even if it may not hit for you completely. You can't say that it doesn't. You can't see how they try to connect these things. But for me, I really liked the presence of Big Clark. I liked how slow he was, and
yes.
it almost felt methodical, and it seemed smart, which was cool. But just the design, for some reason, it didn't invoke fear for me.
Yeah.
But I.
Go ahead, Norman.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say. I was kind of worried at the start when I don't know if it was necessarily Clark, but you did see like giant monsters. Like I feel
I
like
was assuming that was Clark just because of the shape of the
yeah,
hat.
that's kind of what
but
I
could be
assumed
wrong.
by the end of the movie. But for me, if it was like this giant monster that was just like scary because it was a giant with fangs or whatever have you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like that would take away from the kind of fear of the Backrooms. Like it's already like this scary, weird place, and then you have like this horror-looking movie monster. I don't know. I like the Captain Clark because he's not very scary. He's more weird and goofy than anything.
I
But-
totally
And he fits within the story too.
Yeah,
he fits
he
within
fits within the
narrative.
story.
Yeah.
Rather than just like all this stuff's going on the whole movie, and it's like, oh shit, there's this giant monster that just eats people because
At least from what you guys said, something abstract I think would have been more interesting to me. But again, I think what I'm realizing over the course of this conversation is that what I wanted from this, just off of the idea of Backrooms, is not what I got. Like what I was thinking is so like for me, a film where the monster is something abstract and not completely connected to the narrative of these characters personally, but to what Backrooms is, would have fit my idea of what I was going into. But this story is about these two characters as much as we've expanded the conversation. The movie is about these two people,
yeah,
and the monsters reflect that.
I think one of the reasons why Cap and Clark's design worked for me is because I don't even think that the Backrooms is that scary on its own.
yeah.
What I'm getting out
No,
of this movie is mostly the exploratory aspect of it and the mystery aspect of it. That's really what I love about this concept. So seeing this super bizarre recreation of Clark's character in this moment chasing Mary was really, really interesting and weird. And then when you get to the damn like Tesseract, I don't know, like what do you like the giant hole of rooms
That was awesome.
that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It really like it was a fantastic chase sequence. I thought I was really, really tense, and she does that classic thing where the character that you're following throughout the chase kind of like probably isn't going as fast as you would want her to go a lot of the time, but in one instance I was like, girl, you need to keep like just run through these doors.
Yeah.
But if she ran through the door I wanted her to run through, she would have fallen into an infinite void. So, good on
No,
her
for
for being a
real.
little more careful. because the Backrooms is completely unpredictable. You don't know what's behind that door. So good on her for kind of, taking it slow there and not falling into the infinite void.
Going back to something I said before, aesthetics, and I think what's really cool is that like this actress, like they casted somebody who that scene will be iconic because of the way that she looks throughout that scene. Like with the blood on her, with her scared, shocked look, but also like her face in particular creates an iconography within that too.
Yes.
Now that's something I was noticing throughout that scene. Is like you really feel it. That's the most I think this movie. I mean, outside of the first person stuff, this is the most I feel this movie feels like a video game. Is like when she's being chased by Big
Yeah.
Clerk, and
Escape the
you
back
like
rooms.
yeah, like you turn to your left, you see just like a hallway full of couches. Like that felt like some video game stuff that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I really like that as well. I want to talk about like the background behind the Backrooms a little bit, real quick.
Yep.
So it's just like everything about this movie, the origin of the Backrooms in itself is a little bit of a mystery. It's kind of unclear where this actually came from, but on May 12th, 2019, the original image of the Backrooms is posted to 4chan's paranormal board with a prompt asking users to post disquieting images that just feel off. So the image is in the public domain. It's something that just sort of appeared on 4chan at one point. And the original post with the text read, if you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. Crazy post, crazy thing to just type out on the internet, for starters.
Most sane 4chan user, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some Reddit people, I've done some limited internet research, but people on Reddit have found out that the original image was taken on June 12th, 2002 at 8:21 a.m. It's oddly specific, but we have that information. It's kind of interesting, and there's conflicting information on this part, but it's supposedly from an abandoned Sears mall. So there's that.
That tracks.
Yeah, I mean it looks like that. So yeah, it kind of came from that, and internet theories sort of created this as a concept, and it stemmed from that 4chan post. And Kane uploads the original Backrooms video they have it on YouTube as January 7th, 2022, which if that's true, that is shockingly recent, because that would mean that within a year, James Wan, A24, and 21 Laps, Sean Levy's company, within a year got to him and said, we're doing this movie. That's a crazy quick turnaround, and I get it, this was a phenomenon, but that is bananas.
I mean, it is bananas, but I feel like there's so many movies that never come out, obviously. But I feel like us who are so interconnected, you see, there's a Labubu movie that was announced a year ago.
Yeah.
That'll probably never come out, but Paul King is writing that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, it's not, I guess, too crazy for me, especially because James Wan and Sean Levy are pretty seasoned directors and producers.
For sure.
But yeah, no, I agree. It is a crazy turnaround, but
it really is. And he also, part of the reason why maybe this was an easy or a natural transition, I should say, is because he made the original Backrooms shorts using Blender, which is a CGI software, and in making the original shorts and modeling the Backrooms in this Blender software, he pre-visualized 90% of the Backrooms before shooting a frame for the feature.
So cool.
Which is amazingly,
Wow.
it's amazing. And also I heard Curry Barker describe, not to this extent, Kane modeled like had the whole thing modeled basically, which is kind of insane. And he also said that he was having fans who are better at using Blender kind of like send him stuff that was like 1-to-1 recreations of the the trailer and things like that, like crazy
Wow.
stuff. But I did hear Curry Barker, the director behind Obsession, talking about a similar thing, which is just kind of an interesting filmmaking thing that I want to mention. He was talking about using his phone's LiDAR sensor, and if you have a pro iPhone, your phone has a LiDAR sensor on it, and that sensor can scan depth, and you can pretty easily recreate any room just by like scanning it, and they would block scenes in Obsession using this software. I don't remember what it was called, but they would basically recreate scenes digitally before going to shoot them. And I just think that's we had like storyboards and things like that, and that feels like a natural evolution of that, and even a more detailed version of that potentially. Like they're fully blocking scenes in this digital world prior to going out and doing it in the physical space, which I would assume leads to you being way more prepared.
It's amazing that that we 20-something-year-old aspiring film people could do that, because it's not like a totally new thing, but like the extent of this use was like on Avengers. Like on that first Avengers movie, obviously they didn't film that in New York. They just went to New York and took a million pictures of New York and just recreated it. But yeah, now you have like what Game Parsons was probably 16 or 17 when he first started doing this.
He was 16, I think.
Yeah, when he first met with James Wan. Which
Oh, well, not when he first met with James Wan. I think when he was like first,
I got you. Yeah.
when he first made the short, probably. But
I saw some interview with James Wan where he said the first time he met with him, he didn't realize he was still in high school.
yeah, that's
pretty
crazy.
Crazy.
Which, yeah, like what a
Damn.
promising career King Parsons has. One thing I think is super duper cool, by the way, he's getting a million what's next. Obviously, that's what everyone wants to know. And he's talked about he's making other movies, maybe a sequel to this. But I've seen him say a lot like, I like this YouTube stuff. Like I'm gonna keep doing this YouTube stuff, which is really cool. Because I bet if tomorrow he went to a big studio, he could probably get $50 million to make go the Zach Kreger route, where you make one really good movie and then everyone's throwing blank checks at you. But
Yeah.
just really cool, and just speaks to him as an artist. So like, this is cool. I can make a movie that can make $200-300 million, but I want to make these YouTube videos too.
He's also in interviews entertaining the idea of doing a sequel. Or I think Curry Barker, funnily enough, also talked about doing this. I think both concepts, Obsession and Backrooms, kind of lend themselves very well to being anthology series.
Much better than like Weapons or Long Legs, which are getting sequels.
Yes.
I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie. Even though Weapons and Long Legs, both of those should not get sequels. I like the idea of a Backroom sequel a lot more than an Obsession sequel.
So the Obsession thing it's like an anthology series about
I read Curry Barker talking about like he likes the concept of like the wishing stuff, like that being a catalyst in horror.
Yep.
I don't know that to me there almost feels like a limitation to that. I think what was cool about Obsession to me was that these characters we follow, Bear and Nikki, and understanding them, and I don't know. I feel like we've seen the anthology thing go wrong because people think that we care about the concept when it's really the characters in the concept. But we'll see.
I agree with you there. Yeah.
Can I tell you guys some things that like we were just talking about, kind of the conception of the idea of the Backrooms? Can I tell you guys some media that I think influenced the Backrooms, at least in the ether?
Yeah, for sure.
Go for it.
So,
Curious.
first up, and all of these movies are, I believe, pre-2020. So all of them reasonably could have gone into the sauce.
I think I know one of them. That I want to bring up too.
I think I know one of them.
Okay.
Pre-2020.
So, first up, I'm going to go with something that's just an all-time classic movie. I'm going to say 2001: A Space Odyssey, and
Yeah.
also if I'm going to go 2001: A Space Odyssey, I'm also going to loop Interstellar into that as well. Both movies feature pretty important third act sequences in which the main characters get stuck in these liminal spaces in outer space in both
Yeah.
cases. But in 2001,
Okay.
we see our main character get stuck in this room. It's not even in Interstellar. He gets stuck in this like physical manifestation of space and time. It's a little different in Interstellar,
Yeah.
but in 2001, it's just a room. And I thought that was, there's something there, and it's very unsettling in that movie. It feels like he's also moving at a ridiculous speed, and there's a bunch of stuff going on. So those two things.
You got another Kubrick on there?
I do not have another. Oh, I do have another Kubrick. I do have another Kubrick. My next Kubrick is The Shining.
Okay, I
Yes.
was gonna say
Yeah, The
Yeah,
Shining
100%.
easily. Yeah.
The Shining has to be in there. I think Kane also talked about The Shining in an interview. So
Literally, when Clark is walking down the hallway, that is the shot of Jack walking down the Outlook Hotel or whatever, Overlook Hotel. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, I like that this
Nice.
movie wears its influences. By the way,
Yeah.
like you just
Yeah.
said with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, I would say Star Wars, kind of in a similar vein. I think, the interiors of the Imperial Star Destroyers are very, white, barren, empty. They kind of feel a little bit off. And also, a big one for me was Cloud City growing up. I was just very unsettled by Cloud City in The Empire Strikes Back, especially, during the I am your father moment, you had that massive hole that Luke, falls down, and the tubes at the bottom of this. I never liked Cloud City. It always kind of unsettled me. So there's that. Bit of an interesting one that really, really jumped out to me during the third act chase sequence. Monsters Inc.
I almost said that like multiple times earlier when we were talking about the doors. Yeah,
I really think that I also think like they're making a Monsters Inc. sequel. If there's a door that like leads to the Backrooms just in the background, I think that would be just a very fun Easter egg. But yeah, no, the Monsters Inc. was kind of that first thing that kind of went into my brain as far as growing up, seeing it very young. It really taps into that exploratory part of your brain. Like when I watch Monsters Inc., it feels like a world that goes for infinity. When they jump on the doors and they go, they're running from. It also that movie has a very corporate tilt to it. I mean, they're working for the corporation, and the corporation is kind of the villain of the movie.
yeah.
And there's this infinite world of doors that can open up and go to different places. When they're hanging off of the doors and the doors are kind of like going around and stuff in that part of the movie, that really made me think of the part of the movie where she's kind of like looking into the void of rooms. Like that kind of reminded me of
Yeah,
that part of
yeah.
Monsters Inc. Another weird one, 2 SpongeBob episodes. I'm going to go with SB129, the one where Squidward goes to the future.
For sure.
There's a lot of stuff in there that feels pretty unsettlingly liminal. He's in a time machine that looks pretty similar to what a Backrooms room would look like. And he also ends up in a white void by the end of the episode where there's just tiles of color and nothing's tangible. It's pretty freaky for a kid to watch. And the second SpongeBob episode I have is Rock Bottom. That is the episode where SpongeBob gets stuck at the bottom of the trench and nobody down there talks in the way that he does. He doesn't understand anybody. Everything looks like Bikini Bottom, but just a little bit off. So Rock Bottom is in there. Us from 2019.
That was the one I was gonna
yeah.
say.
Yeah, I think that is definitely one that it's a really prominent example of like a liminal space in a big movie. And that I thought that was really effective in that movie as well. Probably the most effective part of that movie, honestly. Like I loved the world that he created in that movie.
Yeah.
With the what were they called? The tethered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought that was all really great. A couple more. I'll talk about some video games. Portal. Kane has talked about Portal being an influence.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's the Half-Life door sound effect in this movie. I don't know if you had that written down.
I did not flag that. That's pretty cool though.
Hey, I think a
That was-
Portal adaptation would be fire.
It,
I've thought about this a couple of times.
They gotta let
I think
Kane do it, though.
I think that'd be fire.
Portal 2 is top 5 video games I've ever played. Easy.
I think that could be adapted into a really cool something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Last one. I have like a lot, but I'm just gonna end it here. The Stanley Parable, the video game, the Stanley Parable.
Yes.
That
I also have one. Can I say
go for it.
mine
Yes,
too?
go. If
It's
y'all have more, go for it.
It's a game. It just got turned into a movie. It's called Exit 8. I saw that recently.
Yes.
It's a Japanese film. I think Japanese, hopefully. I never played the game, didn't know anything about it. Watched the movie. It was really cool and definitely plays with like liminal space and kind of Groundhog Day scenario.
Yeah.
Really dope. Really dope.
I lied. I have one real world. Or what were you gonna say, Norman? Do you have one?
Mine, maybe not inspired by, but this movie reminded me of Skinamarink, which is the scariest movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
I've heard a lot about Skinamarink.
That is something we should talk about right now. That movie is directed by Kyle Edward Ball, came out a few years ago, and that was the last movie that I saw that kind of felt similar, like it was trying to achieve something similar to what this Backrooms movie did, in that it was pretty much a blank canvas that allowed the audience's mind to run rampant on what was actually scary about it. And Norman, I think we both had very similar experiences of being very, very unsettled and tense throughout that movie.
I didn't sleep after I watched that movie. Like
I'll
literally.
have to watch it.
It's
I'll have to watch it.
it's a crazy experience, that movie, and I would say that movie is a little bit long for what it is, and he made a YouTube video called Heck. Same guy, Kyle Edward Ball.
Mm-hmm.
I like Heck better than Skinamarink. It also,
I'll watch Heck. I'll watch both. Both.
Heck also has a little bit more, I wouldn't say story, because there's not really like much of a story to either. It's more about how you feel when you watch them. But Heck has a little bit more crumbs, I would say, in kind of leading you on to what's going on.
What's your real world example? I was curious about that.
My real world example is what, I don't know if you guys had a similar experience, but in elementary school, we took a field trip to a place that was like an indoor city, where all the kids on the field trip would get like jobs. Like you could work at the fire department or like the sandwich store or like, you know, like things like that. And it was like it was like it was like a small fake built city, like an indoor city. And it had no windows and it was very weird. I still remember it.
Weird.
You guys never had an experience like that?
Never experienced
Nope.
that.
Okay, yeah, that was super weird that my elementary school made us do that. It was a core memory.
That sounds like a place they take kids, so that's how they can swap you out with your tether.
Yeah.
That's definitely what that sounds like. Wow.
I
That was
guess
dope, though.
that was the Backrooms then.
That is the Backrooms. Before we go, what's the funniest possible, like, you know, what's the funniest possible Backrooms crossover before we go? Because there's so many images of, like, you know, memes where there's, like, a character walking around in the Backrooms. Who are you guys throwing back there?
Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons.
I would say... I would say throw the whole Always Sunny crew in the
Oh my god, that would be incredible.
all of them together.
I'll go in a similar area on another FX show. I'll throw the whole Atlanta crew in there.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's good.
Agent
That's,
Dale Cooper.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just that's been the Backrooms, y'all. I mean, that's you know, I really like this movie. I really like
Incredible.
this
One
movie.
of my favorites
I
of the
like
year.
it too.
Go check it out. We'll be back
Yeah.
next week for something.